Hello, this is Melanie here with the Ninth Climax, and I'm here today starting off with a very appropriate card for this video with the Mikasa SP, because today we're going to do a set review on all the Mikasa cards in Attack on Titan and discuss their place in a potential Mikasa waifu build. So there are just barely enough cards to do this for this character. I hope they get set. We get some more support for this set because it's just so close to being complete. But it's still a really powerful deck, and it could be a lot of fun to play. So I'm going to set my shiny card aside, and I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions that are Mikasa cards in the Attack on Titan set, but are cards that probably won't or may not make a waifu build. So start off with a trial deck card first, and that is this 1-0 Vanilla 5500 Mikasa. And this set card is a 4 of in the trial deck, so if you buy one trial deck, you get a playset. But the nice thing about this is I actually replaced this card in my waifu build from the 1-0 box topper promo, and I know those can sometimes get hard to find in playsets or can become expensive. So if you are looking for a filler for that slot, this 5500 vanilla gets pretty big with your back row supports and does work. So even on defense. So don't discredit this card if you can't get a hold of the box toppers that I show you in my build a little later. This card is a great budget secondary option that in this set, because the assists in this deck and in this set because the assists are so good, gets pretty big to become a wall. Okay. The next card I'm going to talk about is one that might seem like a shoe-in for a waifu build, but really just doesn't synergize well with a Mikasa-only deck, and that is the 1-0 rare for the booster Awkward Affection Mikasa. If you're building a typical core build and or you're planning on building something with just Mikasa and Eren, this card does work. So she has to have an Eren character on the field to stand at your next stand phase. So right off the bat, I've got a demerit requiring a character that it's not Mikasa to be on the field for it to restand. The next thing is if you have a character with Eren in its card name, this card gets plus 1500 power, so she becomes a 106k before assist, which is pretty awesome. However, while we might be able to splash an Eren card to kind of help her out on these first two abilities, it's really kind of the last one that just doesn't make her work in a waifu build, which is she has a climax combo with the red stock from Waiting Room Soul. That's the card I can hear as Heartbeat. And while this climax combo is really great in a core build, the problem with it is when this attacks, you can pay 1 and you can go ahead and salvage a character with Eren in its name from your waiting room. Well, in a waifu build, if we're running any Eren cards at all, we're probably only going to be running maybe 1 or 2. The chances of a target for this card being in the waiting room and actually getting value out of the stocking, out of the climax combo, even though the climax pays for the effect with the blinds or with the stock from waiting room, it's just not really synergizing. Now, if you're planning on doing Mikasa Eren build, this card will be your all-star. For those of you who are considering possibly still running this card, I would recommend, and for another card I'm going to show you here in a moment, we do have the 0-0 plus 1,000 to the center position of your stage on your turn, and then the pay 1 rest this brainstorm to search for a core character. It's really well costed. It synergizes okay with one of the other cards I'll show you later, but it's really not a strong assist. It doesn't help out our level 1 assist from the trial deck power-wise, and I have other cards that kind of fit that slot that don't have to be rested. So if I needed to use it as an attacker, I could, and I could pay for the brainstorm on the ones. So, and honestly, you would probably have to choose another Eren card to run with this, but honestly, it wouldn't be enough targets to make it worth your time. Okay. Now, this is going to be a player preference choice, but the only character counter or event counter that Mikasa has is this 1-0 1k character counter, a strong strong bloodlust Mikasa. Sorry about that. And it's just a 1000 backup, but if you control a character with Eren in its name, choose one of your characters in battle and give it an additional 1000 power for the turn. So it essentially is a free 2k backup, very similar to Vice Commander Asuna from Sword Art Online, if you're familiar with that character counter. Again, in a waifu build, she's only usually going to give 1000 power because you're typically, and in fact my build, not going to have an Eren on the field. So in regular core build, this card is definitely, run a couple copies of. However, in a waifu build, it's a 1000 backup, and honestly Mikasa hits pretty nice power levels. If you got your right back row set up, she hits nice power levels on defense. So actually the 1000 power, yeah, it's a little lackluster for character backup, but it might be just enough to keep them from getting over. So I'm still running 2, but I really honestly don't think that there'd be too many situations where that's gonna come off and be helpful. Next honorable mention card is this 2/1 104th Cadet Corps class Mikasa. So she has 2 abilities. The first is this ability activates up to twice per turn when you play another of your core characters to the stage from your hand. This card gets 1000 power. So right off the bat, I've got a 2/1 9k, a conditional 9k if you fulfill the requirements, which isn't too bad because you just pay for this first and then play your other stuff. The second ability is an encore step change. It's pay 2, put this card into a waiting room. If this card is rested, you may change into the 3/2 Mikasa, which you saw the SP of earlier. So, which is resisting fate. So it's a encore step change. You don't have to discard a card from hand, which is nice. She hits a nice power level before assists. If you play her right, she'll be a 9k before assists, and the assists in this deck get pretty crazy. So, like I said, chances are she's gonna hit nice power levels, and you'll be able to pretty aggressively attack with her before you change. I've decided in my deck that I would rather have the level 1 to 2 change. And this is totally 100% a player preference choice. Some people are going to choose to run both changes. Some people are going to choose to run one change over the other. It's up for you guys to decide which one you feel like 100% would fit your build. I think this card is pretty strong. I just have decided, since my level 2 combo is more of the finisher combo that does more damage and has the burn on reverse, that I'd rather focus on getting that out earlier and getting value out of it. So at the same time, being able to swap this with your level 3s, when we talk about the level 3, I'll go over that some more, is pretty nice. Alright, last honorable mention. Now, they did 3 alternate arts of this event. We can't run the 1-0 event. Not only does it not, have Mikasa on the 3 alternate art versions, but also it's in yellow, and that's going to be a pretty hard splash to get in when all of Mikasa's cards are red. So, but this 2/2 event is kind of interesting. So it's pay 2, choose one of your opponent's level 2 or lower characters and put it into your opponent's waiting room. This is Anti-Titan Device Snapblade, and this is the artwork for the A variant of the 3 of these. So most shops, because Mikasa is featured prominently in the picture, will allow you to run this in a waifu build. If you chose to run this event, I would run it as maybe a 2 of. It actually helps out your level 2 because your level 2 game wants to reverse something. If your opponent goes to level 2 before you, you can pay the 2 and get rid of one of their back row support characters, making it easier for your 2/2 Mikasas to reverse and deal damage. However, just be aware that because it goes from the stage to the waiting room, your opponent actually has the right to encore. So if it's got clock or hand encore, or if it's got some kind of other type of encore, including the pay 3 rule, well, you could have just wasted 2 stock, and then, they decided to keep it on field. Now, most people aren't going to do that, obviously, because they're wasting stock too, but if it's that important to them, there's a pretty strong possibility that they're going to be anticipating this move and set up for it. But I will also say this: if they decide to encore that card, they've wasted resources. So this event maybe does more work than seems apparent. But if you did run it, I would run it as maybe a 2 of 3 of tops, especially because it's a 2/2. Alright, so I'm going to start off first here by going over the cards that can be found for this deck in the trial deck. And this is getting into the actual deck tech part of this video. I'm going to review the cards as well, but we'll kind of take a look at the deck. So I'm going to start off here with 3 of this 2/5 Chain of Tragedies Mikasa from the trial deck. This comes as a 2 of in the trial deck, so if you want to place that, you would need 2. And she has the ability, continuing the number of your characters is 1 or less. This card gets 1500 power. So she becomes a 0/0/4K, and if you have the right back row assist, she's hitting at 4/5 on defense, maybe even a little bigger on offense, which is pretty useful and utilitarian for just starting out in your opening hand. I'm only running 3 of this card because I actually feel another Mikasa card is your better first card in hand to play on the stage if you have to attack first. However, this card also is really strong. You may choose to decide to run 4 of it. Alright, next trial deck card that I want to discuss is this 1/1 level, I'm sorry, not level, assist. So it's pay 1 and assist all your characters in front of this, get X power, where X is times the number of assist characters you have on the field. So if you have another character with an assist or even 2 of these assists, well, this card ends up giving 1,000 power right in front, and if you have 2 of them out, your center is getting 2,000, which is pretty hefty. Its second ability, though, puts it over the top for 2 reasons, and I'm going to go over one right now, which should be pretty apparent. So you just rest this card and choose one of your characters, and that character gets plus 1,000 power until end of turn. So not only is it typically going to be giving a plus 1,000 in front power boost, it's also got an additional 1,000 to pump, which you can really only activate on your turn, but that's more than enough to turn cards in front of this into walls. So I'm running 3 of this card. I feel like it's pretty important to my build because we have so many things in the deck that want to reverse stuff, and the deck is very aggro power heavy. That card just does work. So this is the 1 of exclusive in the trial deck for Mikasa. However, just keep in mind that honestly, I would only run about 2 of this card like I have in this build because of its skill. So it says, if the number of your other core characters is 2 or more, this card gets 1,000 power and gains hand encore. Excuse me. So when another of your characters attacks, though, core characters I should say, this card gets an additional 1,000. So if you can attack with this card last, this card becomes a 2/1 10k before assists, which is really nice for a level 2. The reason why I'm only running 2 of this card, though, is because of the last condition. I really don't want more than 1 of this card out on the stage because one of them is going to have to attack second, and they're going to end up wasting ability stacks that they could have gotten. So we're going to stick with 2 copies. It's a very nice beater, a lot of power, has hand encore, so if you need to save it, if you're desperate for cards in hand, you can. But that's the 2/1 Mikasa from the trial deck. Alright, on to the booster cards, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to start off with 3 of this 0/0/2000 Brainstorm. Has 2 abilities. The first is during the attack phase, when your character moves to another stage position, that character gets plus 1,000 power until the end of turn. So first off, right off the bat, we have a ability on this Brainstorm that supports level 3. And while this card typically is not going to be out at level 3 if you had a really bad early game or something and it's still sitting on your stage, it's nice because you can at least buff. Now, that being said, the second ability is actually the more main reason why this card is in the deck, and that is the Brainstorm ability, which is to pay 1. You can pay it multiple times, do it as many times as you need, but you can pay 1, reveal the top 4 cards, you can choose a core character and add it to hand, and then discard a card to your waiting room. So this card is sort of a hand-fixed salvage that you could pay for more than once. Just keep in mind, though, if you hit a climax and decide not to salvage, you are going to still have to discard a card from hand. So it's usually worth your time to go ahead and update it so that you've got the something in your hand to discard, so go ahead and get something back and then just discard it. I'm running 3 of this Brainstorm. The deck really doesn't have a lot of exact searching going on, so some people may opt to only run 2, but because it's Mikasa and because I need something to guarantee cards in hand, like my assist or level assist, well, this card will do it, hopefully, if I hit a climax. So it gives us options. Alright. I'm running 2 of this just 3000 vanilla. Gets pretty big. You'll see why at the end of the video, at the end of the deck tech. Most of the time, we'll end up hitting at 4K, maybe even a little bit more than that. Okay. All right. So remember, I told you on the trial deck card that I decided to only put 3 of that card in my deck, and that's something totally up to player preference. So I actually feel like the stronger starting card to have in hand that I'm running 4 of is this Paving Way to the Future Mikasa. She is a runner, so at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you mill the top card of your library. If it is a core character, you can go ahead and move it to an empty position on the front row of your stage. So the Mikasa deck is pretty stock hungry, and every turn a card sticks around to deal more damage, gain more stock is just going to be helping us plus hand, and it's also going to be doing more damage and getting more stock. So the triangle is complete. I would definitely, I think 4 is a perfect number. The 2-5 is not bad. With the right back row assist, this is going to hit at 3,000, maybe even 3,500, depending on what you've got in your back row. She becomes pretty big before she runs, and she can stay on the stage. So, alright, on to level 1. So at level 1, I am running 2 of this 1-0 character counter backup. And the reason why is because I talked about this earlier, Mikasa really just doesn't have a lot of character backups. So we have this 1-0, again, strong bloodlust Mikasa. It's in this deck, it's only a 1k backup, but that's okay because the deck hits pretty high power numbers if you get back row set up on defense. Some people are going to opt to take this out because it's such a small backup amount for only 1,000 because we're not running any Eren characters in this build. But you could choose to run an Eren as one of your assists or the Brainstorm and make this a 1-0-2K, which makes it a little stronger. You could also just choose to swap this out for a vanilla or another attacking character instead of the backup. So room for some choice decisions there. Okay. So the next card that I'm running, oops, as I divide it out, is I'm running 4 of this 1-0 Battle Stance Mikasa. So she's got, when this card is placed on the stage from hand, this card gets plus a level and plus 1,000 power. So she becomes a 1-0-5K. And then pay 2, put this card into your winning room. When this card is frontal attacked, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 1 card named Beyond the Walls Mikasa in your hand and put it on to the card's stage position as defending character. So this is the opponent turn, like your defense turn, change into the 2-2. It's a 1-0. Yes, it does cost 2 and to sack this character on the field, but overall that's actually not too bad for what you're paying for, because when we get there you'll see that the 2-2 is pretty big. And she's got a really nice first ability because you can plop her down in front of a level reverser, and you can go to town because she's got the +1 level. She's actually a level 2, so you can get around that. The other main attacker in my level 1 deck of this deck is I have a playset of the 1-0 Chimi Mikasa, and this is a card that you may not be able to get hold of in a playset, or you may not be able to get, period, depending on your luck. And this would be the card that you may want to substitute out the trial deck vanilla Mikasa for this, but there's some synergy going on in this deck. So this card says and reads, this ability activates up to 1 time per turn. When you use an act ability, this card gains +1 level and plus 1,000 power. So this can only activate up to once per turn, but let me show you what this deck is doing. So we have, so far that I've shown you, we have the 1/0 Chimi Mikasa that says when you use an act, it gets a level and it gets 1,000 power. Pair that with a card such as our Assist. And the Assist has an act ability, which is rest and choose one of your characters. That character gets 1,000 power. You're presuming that this is behind it, hopefully with another, level 0 assist. This is giving an additional 1,000. So what you have then essentially is, let's say this is a plus 500 in front assist. This is 5,000, 6,000, 6,5. Tap can and put this character to rest, give her 1,000, then her other ability of activates where she gets an additional 1,000, and you can see how she gets pretty big and she's free. Yeah, she doesn't have quite as much power on defense, but we didn't pay any stock for her, and she doesn't really combo with anything really huge. So honestly, it's free stock. Get keep your hand up, and also she's gonna hit big enough power levels to make your opponent have to work at least a little bit to go over her. Now at level 1, I am not running the climax combo for this, but we only have 3 red climaxes, and unfortunately, Mikasa is not in the artwork on the +2 soul same class, or if she is, I actually couldn't find her. So I am actually, for 2 reasons though, running a playset of this red stock from Waiting Room Soul card. And it's just to deal some extra soul damage at level 1. It's also to generate some stock, either for the change into the level 2, or it's just to pay for late game costs, because we are running 2/2s in this deck, and if we want to bring them out early, we've got to have extra stock. So the stock soul kind of fills that role. Unfortunately, I'm not running the 1/0 that combos with it because of it not synergizing with the build, but that'll do some extra damage at level 1 and keep things going. Alright, so at level 2, we actually have a little bit of a bigger level 2 than most decks. So we already had 2 of the 2/1, gets 1,000 for each card character attacking, gets 1,000 in hand-on core if you have a certain number or more. So we're going to be running 3 of this level assist, which is all your characters in front of this get X power, where X is equal to 500 multiplied by the character's level. So level assist is going to give 1,500 to our level 3 characters. Interestingly enough, they'll only give 1,000 to the level 2, so you may decide not to play this 2/1 until you actually have some level 3s to protect on the field, but pretty important. Second ability on this card is put a climax from your hand into the waiting room. When this card is placed from the stage onto the stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, go ahead and choose a core character in your waiting room and return it to your hand. So it's really nice second ability if you get stuck with a climax in your hand and you just need to refresh your deck. You're going to be refreshing your deck soon. And this can dump it, get it back in, and then you're good to go. So 3 of this assist just for consistency's sake, because we're not running, again, a lot of search or salvage. That'll keep things going. Alright, so the finishing combo in this deck is a 2/2 cannot side attack beyond the walls Mikasa, and she combos with the camera red gate trigger, the World the Girl Saw climax, and we're running 4 of those in the deck. So what this card does, and I've been alluding to it a couple times, gets plus 500 for each of your other core characters. So if you have a full field, she's a 2/2 10k, 4 assists. And if she reverses her battle opponent and the climax is in play, yeah, you can do a damage to that player, and you don't have to actually work too hard to get that. It just pretty much falls into place. It may seem a little excessive to run a playset of this card, but it's a change. We definitely want one in our hands so that we can change into it early. It's got one of the better burns in the set. Even though it's a 2/2, its power levels with assist can get pretty big. Even without assist can get pretty big. So on that front, not worried. Just realize that you do have to build a little stock, hence why we're running the stock soul. So to play that at or early, Okay. And finally, last but not least, we only have one level 3 Mikasa, and that is this 3-2 that you saw the SP for at the beginning of the video. This is Resisting Fate Mikasa. So if the number of your other core characters is 2 or more, this card gains 2,000. So right off the bat, if I have 2 cards in the back row, this is a 3-2, 11,000 before assists. And most of the time, unless things go really, really badly and they either, bottom deck, top deck, or clock kick a bunch of. So the last ability on this 3-2, just to be clear, is that this card is pay 1 at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase. You may pay the cost. If you do so, go ahead and choose one of your core characters and this card and exchange them as stand. So you can avoid cards getting clock kicked. It's kind of a runner effect that allows you to swap, maybe protect one of your 2/2s that's on the field to finish. She's pretty big and can stay pretty big, so you could even choose to save her by sacrificing maybe one of the back row characters and pulling her to the back so that she stays on the stage. So really helpful second ability, allows us to keep our 2/2s on the field as long as possible and her if needs be. Okay, and just a final review, the climax split in this deck is 4 and 4. We're running 4 of the gates, and we are also running 4 of the Breadstock Soul. Some people will choose to go ahead and run the +2 soul same class if you're not being really strict on the waifu build rule, but keep in mind Mikasa is not in the picture, so she would count this card, the +2 soul climax, would count against you as one of your 4 non-waifu cards in most shop building rules. So that's a call you have to make. I honestly think there's a better candidate if I had to choose one non-Mikasa card to put in this Mikasa deck, and I'm going to introduce that to you now, and I really feel like this card just makes this deck work, and that is to fill out the level 0 game in this deck. I'm running 4 of the Armin Artlet assist from the trial deck. So in this case, yes, he's not a Mikasa card, but Mikasa doesn't have a really strong level 0 assist at all. And yes, you could run the Aaron and power up the 1/0 rare or power up the counter, but the Aaron assists really just don't help out our assist. This card has the assist to combo with the 1/1, and it also has rest. Go ahead and choose one of your characters with Aaron or Mikasa in its name, and that character gets +500 power until the end of turn. So it synergizes really well with our act ability. It's another act ability to activate the Chimi, and it's also a power up of another 500 because you can sit there on the stage, and even though the Chimi is only going to get power 1 time, you can choose to act, rest this, give her it 1,000 or it 500. Then you get to rest the 1/1, give something else 1,000, or give the same card 1,000. You can make something really super big, and this kind of just fits that role. So, all right, well, that is my take on a Mikasa waifu build, and there are lots of options in the set. Hope you have fun. I'm going to end with the same picture I started with because why not? It's Mikasa waifu time, so SP makes sense. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great afternoon. Hello, this is Melanie here for Ninth Climax, and today, starting off with going through the green cards of Attack on Titan and a Levi-focused well, as close as we're going to get to waifu builds. So, unfortunately, we do not quite have enough Levi cards to make a totally one Levi deck. I think I counted, and we'd be short about 8 cards. He's pictured on all the climaxes, but he's missing a level 0, and he's also missing some key elements that make it a little tricky to run just a Levi deck. But what I'm going to do today is show you some different variants on the green Levi squad core build. Keep in mind that these, of course can change. You could choose to splash in yellow or red because everything that kind of glues the deck together is a core trait, and there is obviously core trait in yellow and red. So I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions first that didn't make my deck list, but that may make yours and may be of interest. So, two rares to start off with that are honorable mentions that didn't quite make the deck list cut. The first is this 1500 green level reverser. Has a really interesting effect. We're actually starting to see this pop up a little bit. When she gets reversed, if your battle opponent is level 0 or lower, you may put the top card of their clock into the waiting room and put the character that is directly across from this that reversed her into clock. Pretty decent, gets rid of the character off the field, and can also potentially mess up their colors in their clock depending on maybe what they want to do. So obviously your opponent can fix that pretty quickly, but at the same time, it's a nice little effect. I found that because of the combo that I was running at level 1, I didn't have enough room for some level 0s that, may potentially make some builds and had some hard decisions to make. So this one was a hard decision to let go, but still a really strong card. The next card that gets an honorable mention is this 4000 for Fastidious Personality Levi, which is awesome art, especially for a Levi deck. When this card is placed from stage from your hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into the waiting room. If there's climax among these, rest this card. Definitely could run this. Yes, there's the chance that it'll get rested, but if you're running mono green, there is not a green brainstorm, and this card can kind of sort of give you a half a brainstorm effect for free on play. Even if you do hit a climax and he goes to rest, you can just move him to back row. He has a 0/0/4000, and that's only on the turn when he's placed from onto the stage from your hand. So, he gets rested the first turn, fine, then stand him the next turn. He can move up, he can take out a level 1 reverser, he can do damage, he can even side for damage. So, really strong card. I pulled it from my build again because level 0 was packed, and because of the inconsistent nature of it. Like if this was the only 0 in your hand and this got rested, you wouldn't be able to attack that turn. So it's a personal call. Really strong card. All right. Moving on, we do have a level 1 vanilla 5500 Proud Soldier Levi. Great if you're just looking for a vanilla 0 cost to fill out the deck. Can be buffed by some of the assists in this deck to become a 106k, which is not bad at all. You are running a 1k1 +1 soul, +1000 power bar. So, this card becomes a little bit more powerful. Definitely an option if you're running pure Levi build in the future. If we get another set to support this one, definitely a good card. Another great card that didn't quite make the cut, again, because level 0 and 1 were a little jam-packed because the combo I was running, is this on play. This card gets X power, where X is equal to 500 multiplied by the number of core characters you have. So easily, if you play him last, he becomes a 107k for the turn that he's played. Yeah, he loses that power on defense, but the ability is potential with assists to get him up to 7.5 or an 8.5 at a climax 1k1 and make him really big. So for a turn, really large, can do some work. All right. We have a Levi Cold Stare through the bars. Awesome art. 2/1 3000 backup, and it also has the option that when you use this card's backup, put the top 3 cards of your deck into the waiting room, and actually that's a must. So it doesn't say may. So again, like I said, if you're running mono green, there are not a lot of brainstorm effects. There is no brainstorm, so this character backup can kind of have that effect, avoid some damage. Yeah, you might hit a climax, but that's that. So basically, the reason why I'm not running this card in my build is because I'm choosing to run a character that you cannot use character backups during their battle as one of the focuses of my level 2 game, possibly level 1. And I don't want to get stuck with this, counter in hand. And yes, I could use it on a different character, but I've actually used the spot in the deck for an event. And that, again, is a personal choice that some people will, choose to run this and something else instead of that event. But that is a playstyle call. So this is a character counter for Levi if you need it and may make your build. All right. So I am always mispronouncing this character's name, so I apologize. I'm sure everybody will say something in the comments. This Scout Regiment Section Commander Hanj is put a card from your hand into your waiting room. This card gets 2,500 power until end of turn. He becomes a 1/0/7/5 on play, but the problem is the discarding a card from hand. Green does not generate a lot of hand growth. We don't have a lot of free pluses. We have some, obviously in a climax combo form that calls characters onto the field. Our level 3 calls things onto the field, but that discard one can really hurt. So if you are a Hanj fan and you want to build a deck around him, yes, this is a great card, but the discard one just didn't make my build again because of hand concerns. All right, next honorable mention, which actually may end up in some mono green builds, is the one climax combo I left out of this deck that exists in green, which is the 2/1 6,000 Frank Disposition Hanj. It combos off of this climax here, which is a 2K1 called Truth. Give a character 2,000 power, draw a card, and they also get +1 soul till end of turn. This climax combo is a chance to make your entire field huge. So he's a global assist to core characters. So right there off the bat, you could just run him in your deck as a global assist. I realize that this card for me, not running it in my current build right now, doesn't give me a nice power boost, but I have other assists and ways to boost in the deck, so we're going to go ahead and let this one go. The second ability is when you place the climax into the climax area, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a core character, all of your characters on the field get an additional 2,000 for turn. So great combo card, great global assist for core. There are a lot of pluses to this card. I like to run 4 and 4 climaxes in my decks personally. Some people like to split 3/3/2. So I could definitely see somebody running this in the 2 of slot. It is a 2K1. It'll get a card in your hand. Something automatically gets 2,000 power. He's a global 1,000. And then on top of that, yeah, it's a chance that could fail. But at least you know your next trigger. And you also can potentially make your field huge to fight Titans. So again, another card that'll make some folks builds, or maybe even be a main focus climax combo of some builds. All right, chibi time. So we have a 1,500 vanilla backup in green for Chimi Hanj. I shouldn't say chibi because these are Chimi, as the name says. I am not running this currently in my build, but I actually wanted to make room for it because our characters hit such high power levels if you pull off the Levi squad combo that you really don't need much of a backup to make sure that your opponent isn't reversing them power-wise. So that one is actually pretty viable. Another Chimi that did not quite make the cut because I chose a different level 2, but is definitely probably a great option for this deck, is Chimi Levi, which is if the number of core characters you have is 1 or less, this card cannot be played from your hand. But it's a 2/2, 9,500, 2 soul, as another higher hitting soul option late game. Pretty solid, and you should almost always have 2 other core players, so getting this out onto the field is not bad, and honestly you can pull it out of your clock with the 3/2. I apologize, this card is if you have 1 or less. This card cannot be played from hand to the stage, so you do have to have 2 characters out, so I guess that's still correct. All right. A last honorable mention that you could choose to run in this deck if you were looking for another 2/2 that swings for 2 soul is Scout Regiment Commanding Officer Erwin. So if the number of cards in your stock is 5 or more, this card gets 1,000 power and Hand Encore. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, if the number of your core characters is 4 or more, you may put the top card of your deck into stock. And when this card is placed from stage to your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If the card is a level 0 or lower character, put it into your stock. If it is not, return the revealed card to its original place. So basically this 2/2, if you get lucky, will pay for himself. He automatically, if you play him last, will get you a free blind stock off the top of your library. He also has a second chance chance at checking for a trigger, which helps you set up your attack order. And if it is a 0, well, that's great. That's level 0. Instead of being your trigger, goes to stock, which is a piece of clean stock. Yes, his free ability is a blind stock, but honestly, at the point that you would be playing him, I don't see that as a downside. He is going to be a little low on the power side, though. Definitely, if you're considering running him, probably want to run the 2-1 Hanj, so that you have some kind of global support thing going on to keep him at least in a power area where you're not going to have to waste your hand to save him. However, the handout and core that late in the game is really not that bad because you can discard a level 0 or something small in your hand to save, well, a 2-soul, at least 8k most of the time swing. Alright, onto the deck. So I built this deck focused around the core trait, and I built this deck with the idea of keeping it as Levi based as possible. So yes, there are stronger cards I could have chosen for some of these card slots. I could have chosen to splash red and added some of the Casas cards. I could have chosen to splash yellow, but because I've decided to go with kind of a mono green Levi squad theme, I have limited myself in the build options. The one thing that green is missing, however, is a brainstorm. So the only non-green card in the deck that I'm running just as a 2-of, because he's usually going to get played over and replaced, is 2 of this Beyond the Walls errand. So during your turn, your character in the middle position of the center stage gets 1,000 power, which if you're familiar with the 1-1 Levi already, you kind of understand why that's important. His brainstorm effect is pay 1, rest this card for each climax revealed. You can search your deck for up to 1 core character, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So 2 of this brainstorm. He's our brainstorm search for the deck. It's probably, he also puts targets for the 1-1 Levi into the waiting room, so arguably I could see people running this as a 3-of, or maybe even if it's that important, a 4-of. But I felt like 2 worked out just fine. When I needed him, I was able to get him. Okay. The card that can make sure that I get my brainstorm or get a missing combo piece is this #1 oddball Hanj. So he's your pay 1, discard a card from hand, search your deck for up to 1 Titan or core character, reveal it to your opponent, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So he's really our only, it's not a free plus, it's more of a hand filter plus, but if you're missing a combo piece, and also, by the way, discarding stuff at early game in this deck is not so bad because you call all of your combo pieces onto the field with this deck, so even if you're holding one in your hand and you're forced to discard it to search with him, it's going to come back. So this search is actually great. I'm running it as a 3-of. Definitely could see a case for maybe only 2 of this card, maybe 1 more brainstorm, or maybe even plussing this to 4 since this is really the only deck search that we have. Alright, so I am actually going to put out a couple of cards all at once, and they all go together with something. Actually, yeah. So these 2 level 0 cards go with this. Sorry guys, I realize I'm black. I should do this off screen. This goes with this. This, and just to finish the picture, we're going to go ahead and put Levi in the center. There we go. Alright. So this 1-1 Levi, and what this deck does is it has a little bit of a gimmick. He combos with members of Levi Squad, Special Operations Squad, which is a green stock soul. So I'm running 4 of this. It generates stock for the late game, and everybody does an extra soul damage. So there is a climax combo with this climax and this 1-1 Levi. Okay, so if he's in the first off, if he's in the middle position of your stage, he becomes a 1-1-7-5 before assist. His second ability is you can sacrifice a character on the field and put a card from your hand in the waiting room. And when you go ahead and you place this climax onto the climax slot, you can go ahead and, if this card is in the center stage, you can call to the stage from your waiting room one copy of each of these. Member of Levi Squad Oru, member of Levi Squad Petra, member of Levi Squad Eld, and up to one card named member of Levi Squad Gunther in your waiting room, and put them on separate positions of your stage. So he, with the Climax combo, if you can pull it off, not only gets you a free clean stock for your waiting room, everybody gets +1 soul, but he also fills your board for 1 stock, and discarding a card from hand, which could be one of your call targets, as well as just getting something off the field, which quite frankly, since he calls 4 characters from the waiting room to the field, isn't really bad, because if you think about it, you let something out of your field go, and then the rest of your stage just gets filled up. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this card first and kind of skipping out of my order here is because 2 of my level 0 cards and 2 of my level 1 cards, they all help support that Levi, and they also get called to the field by him. So I'm going to save off on Petra and Oruf, but I'm going to actually go back to level 0. And I am running 3 each of these cards. Now these guys, the great thing about them is you don't have to hold on to them in your hand. You can go ahead and play them, and if they die, that's fine, because you're going to call them to the field from the waiting room with the Climax combo, which is why I wanted to kind of go over that first. So member of Levi Squad Eld has a buff for that middle stage 1/1 Levi. So all of humanity's strongest soldier Levi get 1,000 power. If you have another member of Levi Squad Gunther, which is the other level 0, all of your other core characters gain +500 power. So he's a global assist if the other 0 is on the field. So, he helps out that center stage. He can be called to the back row with the Climax combo. I'm running 3 of him. This is a questionable choice. Some people are going to definitely decide to put in a play set of all these important cards, and you may decide to adjust the deck to do so as well. I felt like 3 was fine because you play him at level 0, he ends up in your waiting room, you brainstorm him in your waiting room, most of the time he's going to be there, and we'll combo okay. Next up, I have the other level 0, which I'm running as a 3 of, which is member of Levi Squad Gunther. He also gives that Levi 1,000 power, the 1/1. So you can see the Levi is already at 9/5 before I add Eld's assist if Gunther is out, so that makes him 10. And then if you have another member of Levi Squad Eld, all of your core characters gain +1 level, which means that our 1/1 in the center, if you have Eld out and he sees him, everybody gets +1 level, which means they can't be level reversed, which is pretty awesome, because not only does Levi get buffed, but also +1 level is really important because he cannot be level reversed, which is pretty cool. All right, finishing out level 0 here, and then I'll go back to the other cards that are part of that combo. I'm running 3 of this Scout Regiment Captain Levi. He's 0025 with a pretty hilarious effect. If the character facing this card is a level 3 or higher, this card gets 7,500 power. So if he's facing a level 3, he literally becomes a 10,000, which, because at level 3 we have a card that pulls things out of clock to the field for a cost, yeah, we're going to go ahead and run a couple of copies of this. Some people may not like this card, but you know what, with the an early played 1k1, he becomes a 3/5. If you get some of the assists out of the field, he becomes vanilla size, and his second effect is just not only hilarious, but kind of just great. So I am running 3 of those. You could honestly replace those with something else based off your player preference, but I think it's pretty awesome. All right. Finally, I'm running a playset of this Global Assist Violent Ripples Levi. So Global Assist to core characters, 500 power, and when he is placed from hand to the stage, choose one of your opponent's characters. They get -1,000 power until the end of a turn. Interestingly enough, that -1,000 power, there are some cards that it can go ahead and get rid of, and it's on the center stage, so you can't target the back row, but for example, the 001000 level reverser hand filter silica, he could actually just take out if the player has no assist or no way buffing that card on the field. that's pretty cool. So, honestly, though, at any phase in the game when you play him, he's going to give you a little bit of a power boost advantage. So, he's also really the only, outside of the level 1 combo and some other pieces I have in the deck, he's one of your only back row assists. So, I am running him as a 4 of. Some people choose to run him as a 3 and maybe run the 2-1 Hajj, but definitely an option. So, at level 1, I have 4 of a playset of our key combo card, which is the Humanity's Strongest Soldier Levi. He is one of our search targets with the pay 1, discard 1 Hajj. Honestly, in this deck, your search targets are usually going to be this card or the Brainstorm, depending on what's going on in the game, if you need targets in the waiting room for his combo. So, he's your main level 1. You definitely want to have stock to play him at level 1 and Battlefield. All right. So I am running play sets of the other 2 members of the Levi squad. I'll go ahead and start off with 1-0 Petra. So there's 4 of her. She has, if you have another Humanity's Strongest Soldier Levi, this card gets 2,000 power. So she's 1-0-6,000 if he's on the stage. If you have another member of Levi squad Oro, your other character in the middle position of the center stage gets Hand Encore. So discard a character card from hand to save it. So if somehow they can get over that middle Levi, as long as you have the other level 1 on the field, you can Hand Encore him, which is pretty cool. And she is also going to get pretty big, because if you've got Gunther and Eld out, what ends up happening is she gets +1 level, and then she's getting a global 500 from the other character. So honestly, she's usually going to typically, if you can pull off the combo, be a 1-0 level 2 7-500, which nice wall. She's probably going to stick on the field, and as long as she doesn't get bounced, Levi is going to be able to be Hand Encored, which is pretty cool. Next, if you have another Humanity's Strongest Soldier Levi, this card gets 2,000 power. So he is, Oro is also a 1-0-6,000 if you have that guy. If you have another member of Levi Squad Petra, your other core character in the middle position of the center stage gets 1,500 power. So if you do some quick math here, if Levi is in the center of the stage, he's 1-1, 7,500 by himself. Then, if you had the 2 zeros in the back row, he becomes a 95, 10,000, counting the global from the 1-0, level 2. And then, if you have Oro out, he becomes an 11,5. To the can't be level reversed, and that is a continuing ability, and all these are continuing abilities. Similar to Petra, he's also going to be a 1-0-6-5 level 2 if you could pull off the combo. Excuse me, guys. A little late here while I'm videotaping, I'm sorry. So I'm running the level 1s as 4-ups because they're our main attackers. We want them in the front row. We definitely want Petra and Oro out so that Hand Encore and Power are a thing. And again, I'm running 4 of the green stock soul. The green stock comes from your waiting room. So since the entire deck is green, it's pretty easy to find a non-combo piece card to stick into stock. Now, obviously, that combo can be pulled off at level 1. It can be pulled off at level 2 to call things from the field. You do have to discard a card from hand, and you do have to sacrifice a character on the field, but that's really not that hard to do. Late game, though, we want to hit the same power numbers if we don't get the climax combo off again or we don't get it. So now this card can come out at level 1, and that's kind of a nice bonus because if you can see from the way the game is going that you can't pull off the Levi combo, like maybe all 4 of the green stock souls have already gone to waiting room, this card gives you another option to play a powerhouse at level 1 that can't be level reversed. And by himself before assist, he's going to be a 2-1 8,000 if you have if all of your core characters on the stage are core trait, which is everything in the deck. So he also has the effect that you cannot play during this card's battle. All players cannot play backup from hand, so you can't use character backup cards. You can still use events, so just be just be aware of that. So if your opponent is playing Sword Art Online and has self-sacrifice, if they're playing Love Live and they have Makeshift for Kotori, or they have the 1-1 Smile push-ups, those would be examples of event backups that they could still play and still use. So we do have the 2-1 Levi. He's an 8,000 before assist. If you've got the right back row set up, chances are he'll be a 9K if you can get 2 globals out by the late game. And he also kind of forces your player to deal with him because he cannot be level reversed. He comes out early if you have 4 or more core characters on the field. So again, another level 1 option. He does only swing for 1 soul, so I can definitely see some people, and I also understand his power level does not hit that great. Honestly, probably the best combo with this card is the Hange Frank Disposition Rare, the Global 1000, and the chance at getting 2000 power for the turn, plus combo that with 2k1. But this card does some nice things, and we have a way to buff it. So the way that we're going to buff things at level 2 in this deck, either our 1-1 center or one of our other characters, is this 2-1 event called Lesson. And the nice thing about this event is after you pay for it and use it, this event goes to stock. So it literally pays for itself. And it basically reads, choose one of your core characters and that character gets 4,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this card combined with this, combined with any of our level 1 cards, is going to be hitting at nice power ranges. You can use this at level 3 with the level 3 Levi, and it pays for itself. You get a clean stock out of it. So it, you know, something gets 4,000, and that 4,000 stays until the end of your opponent's next turn, which is why I chose to run this card instead of the character backup. Yes, the character backup is searchable. Yes, this is an event, but it pays for itself. And so let's say you have this. You've got all core characters on the field, so this is a 2-1 8,000. They can't use character backups against it. If you're at level 2, you play this event on it. Well, now it's a 2-1 12,000 before assists. Any of our globals that we may have out in the field, which is, yeah, they can get over that, but that's a pretty big wall. And on their turn in reaction, this 4,000 is going to get around majority of the big backups in the game. Yes, Graveseed can still hit it, and from Monica and some other sets, but very few sets have a way to get around this, and it pays for itself. It's clean stock. So definitely a questionable play on my part. I decided to put this in instead of maybe a more secure character route, but definitely a great card. I think it's a really good option. I could see people doing 2 of this and 2 of the 2-1 3,000 mil effect backup. I could see people doing 2 of this and the 1-0 1500 if you wanted a level 1 backup, but honestly, everything gets so big at level 1, and you really only need to keep that 1-1 Levi on the stage, and you're good. And if they bounce the Petra, then they bounce the Petra. But he'll still be a really big wall and not level reversible. So our end game card in this deck is a playset of Resisting Fate Levi. Yes, I'm only running 4 level 3s in the deck. If you splashed in another color, like let's say you went green-yellow or green-red, you could run this with the 3-2 Mikasa. You could run this with either the Armin support or the 3-2 Aaron. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I was trying to keep this mostly a Levi deck focus, so I have limited myself that way. So this card, just so we know what he does, he has put a card from your hand in the waiting room. When this card is, when a card named the Wings of Freedom, which is his climax combo, this is the non-foil triple R version, the gold bar, which is a 1k1. When you place this card into your climax area onto the center stage, you may pay the cost. If you do so, choose a core character in your clock and put it onto any position of your stage. So when you play the climax, if you have a character in your clock, you can draw it out onto the field, and it's standing and ready to attack, and you just got around anti-heal from Kantai or or Kill a Kill. So this card gets around anti-heal, pulls out a character. Yes, you can pull out a copy of him, but he will not get his second effect if you choose to do that. So do not go clocking your level 3. But he can pull out the 2-1 that you can't use backups on. He can pull out any of our other targets. Another great card that he could pull out that I'm not running in this deck that I showed you in the honorable mentions at the beginning of the video is the 2/2 9500 Levi. Really big power level. He'll be a 10-5 with the Climax combo before assists and swinging for 2 soul for free. So definitely some options here. Now, this card's second effect is pay 3, put a core character from your hand into your waiting room, and put another character from your stage into the waiting room. This ability activates up to once per turn during the turn that this card is placed on the stage from your hand. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this card and move it to another open position on your stage. So he's essentially a running level 3. So what you do is you attack with your first 2 characters, then you attack with him. When he reverses his battle opponent, you pay the cost, stand him, move him to the open slot that you sacrificed a character from, and attack again. He does keep soul damage triggers. Now, be careful with the wording of this card. It says on the turn that it was placed from your hand to the stage, which means that his first ability cannot call another copy of, well, you can call another copy of him to the field, yes. You're not going to be able to pay for the restand cost if that card it does reverse his battle opponent. So yes, if you want to get 2 of them out, you can choose to do that, but at the same time, you're not going to be able to pay for the second ability, and it's pretty well costed. You have to watch your stock very carefully, hence running for the stock soul, hence running the 2/1 event that pays for itself, because you really need about 5 stock if you're going to plan on playing this card, because you have to have 2 to play him, and then you have to have at least 4 or 5 stock. Yes, you could pull it off, and he'll generate enough stock on your attack turn, but then you're left with nothing on defense. This card, this event on this card really helps make him bigger. He does combo with a gold bar 1k1, so before assist with the Climax combo and pay, he'll be an 11k. If you can get an event on him, he'll become pretty big. You can actually play more than one of the events and they pay for themselves and go to stock, so that makes sure you have clean stock over there and enough to play this card. So really awesome kind of runner, take out more than one character, restand, and go from there. I am running 4 of the gold bar trigger. There are some people that preference-wise, playstyle-wise, would actually say they'd only run 2 of this and maybe put in Frank Disposition Hange, the 2/1 global assist, and the 2k1. My thoughts on it was that it was too many 2 soul triggers, but at the same time, the 1k1 early game can buff everything by 1,000, make everything bigger, and go from there. So this is mostly Levi waifu build, as close as we're going to get to that. So at least, well, I should say it's the Special Operations Squad. So and just like I did my Mikasa video with the shiny SP Levi, and just be aware that there are lots of builds you can do with this set with the core build, so have fun splashing and mixing colors. I actually personally think the level 1 green combo is pretty cool and had a lot of fun play testing with it. So enjoy your builds, and we'll see you next time.